Hello everyone and welcome back, whichever one it is. Today's video is a very difficult one to listen to. It does involve the abuse of an infant, so keep that in mind as you watch. I won't be going into gruesome details or anything like that, so you are safe if that is the bit that bothers you, but there will be some details of the crimes themselves, so have to keep this in mind if you watch. So this case takes place right here in Pembrokeshire, West Wales, and it involves a crime that is so evil, and there really isn't a better word to describe it, just pure evil. Even the sentencing judge described it as the most distressing case he had encountered in his 40-year legal career. So in late 2020, a 34-year-old man named Christopher Phillips joined the dating app Tinder. According to some remarks that were heard at the Swansea Crown Court, Christopher was actively looking for an infant to abuse, and he used Tinder as that method to find a suitable access point. He matched with a woman who, in one of her pictures, she was holding her young infant son. So Phillips began messaging this mother shortly after his birth in November of 2020, and their meetings took place at her home in Pembrokeshire. So at first it's said that he paid little attention to the baby, but within a few weeks began showing interest in being left alone with this child. Christopher would offer to babysit the child and change him, even when the mother would obviously express discomfort of having someone she hardly knew look after him and change him. What I find interesting is that the mother initially declined these offers because she didn't think he was a trustworthy caregiver, but at some point, I guess she changed her mind and decided he was trustworthy enough. Not long after they met, the mother began noticing some medical issues on her child, and this was just in January 2021. So not long had passed from when they first met to when she started noticing these issues. She said that her son began screaming unusually during his sleep. She also noticed extensive swelling and bruising in the baby's nappy area, including a swollen testicle and blood in his nappy. When she did notice these, she obviously took her son in to get help. So the night of 24th of January 2021, Christopher was alone with the baby in his room under the pretext that he was changing the nappy. The mother heard the baby screaming violently, apparently. So she went in, noticed something was wrong, and called 999. Emergency services got there and rushed the baby to Glangwili General Hospital in critical condition. The medical staff found catastrophic injuries, just a few. This is disturbing details as well. Might want to skip forward a bit if you don't want to hear. But they found a deep tear in the baby's anus, multiple fractured ribs, bleed on the brain, bruising to the child's testicles, and signs of severe blunt force trauma that could not be reasonably explained by normal care or accidental injury. And the injuries were so severe that the baby was given morphine, which is a very rare drug to give a child of this age. Medical experts described the pattern and severity of injuries. They were consistent with sexual and physical abuse and not just accidental harm. Dyfed-Powys Police was called to investigate, and Christopher was arrested. He was interviewed, but of course denied causing these injuries. He tried claiming that the baby's pain and injuries were due to a bad ear and nappy rash, and said that the mother was always present when he was changing the baby's nappy. There was enough evidence from the medical records and witness accounts to charge him with the following, which are also disturbing details. So the charges against him include 2 counts of assault by penetration of a child under 13, 1 count of assault causing actual bodily harm, and 2 counts of causing grievous bodily harm with intent. The baby's mother was initially charged with allowing serious physical harm, but the jury later cleared her of all charges. I'm not trying to blame the mother, but she is partially to blame for this. You don't allow a man you've just met to be alone with your child. Am I crazy? No, I know, I'm not. So a 3-week trial took place at Swansea Crown Court. He obviously denied it still, but he was eventually found guilty of some of the most serious charges you can get relating to sexual assault and grievously bodily harm. The medical and expert testimonies played a huge role in the case, with paediatric specialists explaining the injuries and how they were unlikely to be caused by your normal accidents, and that it was caused by deliberate and violent abuse. So just recently, on the 16th of January 2026, he was sentenced to life imprisonment, and again with the judge describing it as some of the worst offences he had ever seen. I actually have a quote from the judge, Paul Thomas Casey. Disturbing, don't have to hear this, it's only short, but he said, "That utterly defenceless baby had his bottom ripped open to satisfy your grotesque sexual perversions." So Christopher must serve a minimum of 16 years and 25 days before he is considered for parole. But the judge said that unlikely that he will be released because he poses such a great risk to children. This poor baby spent months in hospital and nearly a year in foster care while the legal proceedings were ongoing. The child's father even been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder because of all of this, and he's, receiving help. So these cases are so hard to hear, but they are so important to talk about because this isn't a one-off case. This unfortunately happens way too often, and we really need to do more about it. It's just so frustrating that someone like that even exists, but that this is also avoidable, that this child did not have to go through something so disgusting. But as hard as these cases are to hear and to talk about, I'll never stop talking about them as long as they are happening, because children's safety is everyone's concern. But yeah, that's it for this one. There will be links below to all sorts of charities, helplines, things that could hopefully help someone out there. And just remember, if you have the slightest concern about a child's safety, report it. It doesn't matter if it turns out to be nothing. Do something. Just do something. People do not do enough, especially when there's obvious signs. I don't know, it baffles me. It really does. That's it for this one. So, ta-da.